Okay, so Pioneer. This month's theme was chosen by our Creative Mornings Denver chapter and illustrated by Denver-based illustrator John Vogel. Our October Pioneer theme is presented globally by our partner MailChimp across 175 chapters. MailChimp is Creative Mornings' global partner for communication. So pioneers shatter expectations, widen boundaries, and reveal new possibilities in life. Whether the work was inspired from being on a ship or inside of a studio, pioneers act on their internal, immutable desires to create work that matters. You might be on the edge of pioneering something new. Only time and your relentless drive to create against all odds will determine that. We look towards pioneers to bring us to new discoveries, domains, and knowledge about ourselves. So I just wanted to say a quick thing. It may seem a little suspect, but I promise there is no conflict of interest having our presenting sponsor be VSP and the fact that our speaker also happens to work there. As an accomplished and charismatic speaker, Jay has been on my wish list since we started this chapter almost a year ago. And we were so lucky he was free to speak today on this very relevant topic. Jay Sales serves as a co-founder and co-director of VSP's Innovation Lab, The Shop. The Shop is breaking down boundaries between the digital and physical worlds where design, fashion, and healthcare collide. The Shop's mission is to evolve design and technology towards discoveries that enhance lives. He has been a driving force supporting Sacramento's creative economy as he looks to recruit and retain the country's most talented to our city. I'm so excited to have him. Please welcome Jay Sales.
What up? So who's heard me talk before? Great. So I try and mix these up quite a bit, but I try to maintain the theme all the time at the same time. Get rid of that. So I'm made in Sacramento. Let's start off there. I'm made in Sacramento. I was born and raised here. My parents were born and raised here. My grandparents were born and raised here. And their parents were born and raised here. I'm made in Sacramento. Okay? And you can't see my Twitter handle right there, so don't worry about it. All right, so by the way, thank you so much for that introduction. And it's a pleasure to be here. Anytime I get to talk in Sacramento, I get kind of going because this is my hometown. But like was said before, evolving design and technology towards discoveries that enhance lives is the mission of the shop. That's the group that I'm part of. There are there's two primary shops. There's one on the East Coast run by Leslie Muller, my partner, at 8 West 40th in New York City. There's a satellite instance of the shop, which is in Columbus, Ohio, which focuses on our rotation program and the doctor-patient experience. And that satellite reports to the West Coast shop, where we focus on technology. So within that, the things that my team works on, all the way from digital processing to hardware to firmware to software, where we touch on AI, where we touch on blockchain, where we touch on multiple different technologies, and human-centered design, down to the ethnographic research, getting to the line that crosses over into the shoes of those we're serving. The team I am honored to lead does incredible work. It's super important for me to replace myself constantly. The people that I have in that building can do my job without me standing there. Super important to me. Okay, so onto our subject line real quick. A pioneer is someone who develop or to be the first to use or apply a new method, area of knowledge, or activity. She has pioneered a number of innovative techniques. All right. I was going to get up here because, look, man, technology is my gig. I'm a former musician who's turned into a technologist, and technology is what gets me going. But I was going to jump up here, and I was going to talk about things like a hero of mine, Ada Lovelace. 1840s, this woman crossed with Charles Babbage, the analytical machine, and put together poetry and mathematics and discovered or created the first computer program. In the 1840s, this woman did this. The poetry of math within the poetry of logic. An incredible, incredible woman, but I'm not going to talk about her. Or I could have talked about Claude Shannon, another one of my heroes, who developed information theory. That which makes up everything that we transfer today. Information theory could even be broken down into the Pony Express, the transfer of information. But in the end, it's about transferring a message over long distances without losing the value of that message. Incredible work by Claude Shannon. I'm not going to talk about him. But one thing you should know, if you have joined your organization for the retirement package or to have a good end of life, this is probably not the room for you. Okay? And so what it comes down to is some real simple things. Pioneers don't retire. Pioneers die with the wake of their stories. Pioneers die with the dust that they created settling on windows, and maybe their name get written in the window. Maybe. And oftentimes they die without credit. Oftentimes like this guy. Who knows who this is? Dude, really? All right, let's lose this then. All right, where'd that water go? Right there? It is hot in here. All right, guys, this is the original baller of Sacramento. Some of you might laugh. I'm not joking, not even close to joking. This is Theodore Judah. Okay, Theodore Judah came here to Sacramento, and this city, as a city, expected this. This is the first city to have a railroad west of the Mississippi. Theodore Judah built it from Folsom to Sacramento. But dude wasn't done. That wasn't enough. Dude decided that that was possible. He walked into the Sierras, found a way to get through, and recognized the fact that putting a railroad across this country would change Earth. And then went out and did it. He walked into Washington, D.C., got the appropriations for the money to be matched as you're going across. Then the dude walked into San Francisco, said, look, here's my plan. And plan in San Francisco said, dude, you're freaking crazy. Actually, if you look up Crazy Judah, that's how you'll find him. He's known as Crazy Judah. He came back to Sacramento, and Sacramento said yes. Sacramento was the first to have an expectation that we can cross the country, that we can get goods from across the country. We had an expectation as a culture, as a city, to be on the edge, to be first, to be the ones who defined what was next. It wasn't the only time we did that. You might not even, no one hardly even knows this. We were the first to transform electricity, and this is kind of washed out, so I'll walk you through it. To transform electricity a long distance, before Niagara Falls. Sacramentans were the first to expect electricity in their city. We as a culture expected to pioneer what was next. We ran electricity from the Folsom Powerhouse to Sacramento and lit up the city in what was called the Electric Carnival. And dude, we freaking invited the world to come here. We were first in the world to do this. This city is a culture of pioneering expectations. You are a city of pioneering expectations. Act like it. Expect the next. Pioneers expect to take risks. So this isn't about one person. This isn't about dude or chick or whoever it was that was a pioneer. It's about us. This is about us as a city. This is about the culture of this city, what we used to have, what we can have again, what we have always had, what we shall have. God, I sound like a preacher. It's because I really care about this city. I love this city. I've lived elsewhere, but I've come back here because there's something, it's hard to understand what's so wonderful about this city. But what I'm talking about is not the individual. Where are we at? I'm talking about we, the city as a culture. This city was able to answer questions like this. We as a city can take what's over the horizon and gets answered here in Sacramento. It was answered here. It should be answered here. Why don't we do this? Should be answered here. Is answered here. This is a city of cultural, innovative, pioneering expectations around creativity. It's a massive, massive possibility. By the way, if you can't really see it, but every single slide of this deck is backed by an artist's piece that lives in Sacramento. And I use this everywhere I go. Every slide that I show outside the United States, in the United States, outside of Sacramento, has Sacramento artists in the background. Every single time. Because you gotta rep it. You gotta know where you're from, and you gotta be proud of it. But these questions need to be answered here constantly. And then the ability for us to move forward and ask these questions, what is next and how are we gonna get there, get answered by us. Pioneers, though, are available. We're available to the future. We're available to those questions. We're available to the possibilities. You must make yourself available to the question of what if. We did that all the time in this city. That's who we were. And you guys, this is so important. What was an individual march towards discoveries, what was a corporate march towards, in this business world, in this world of technology, in this world of social change, it's about collaboration. It is about the act of collaboration over isolation. The collective intelligence of us is way, way more great than the greatest mind of one. Every single time. Every single time you bring the collectiveness of many, it outweighs the one. Every single time. 100 perspectives and engagements outweighs that one. Every time. The collective intelligence of culture and society together, expecting or reaching or driving towards the next. Pioneers do not use maps. They use compasses. You lay out a map, you're following the footsteps of somebody who's already been there. You use a compass, yeah, you're going to run into a river, you're going to run into a roadblock, or you're going to run into a bear. But that compass tells you which way to go the whole time. You're heading north. That's what we do in this city. That's what you guys do. The reason I'm up here doing this like this is because you guys kick ass. What's going on in this city is amazing. And it's yours. Beep. So, when you hear things like that's not likely to succeed, or you're freaking crazy, you're crazy Judah, that's insane. I'll never touch that. Exactly. Let's go talk about that. Let's prove that. When a city starts to stand up and have the imposter syndrome, you're in the right zone. When you're wondering, what the hell are we doing? Oh, that feels so good. You're right on the edge. And that's exactly what we used to do as a culture, as a city, as a people. This city rode that wave. So the way I look at it is this. I kind of work generationally. I think about things that should be thought about or should be looked back upon in 20, 40, 50 years. And to me, pictures like this, beep, should become old-timey photos. Dude, look at that old-timey photo of the first autonomous vehicle that drove through Sacramento. Look at how crazy-ass those old people were. And look at that shit. Look at that stuff they're wearing. Those crazy old, what were they doing back then? Can you imagine if the cars that we drove or the vehicles that we moved around in today look like that? Old-timey pictures are cool. And that's because we could be the first city to have autonomous vehicles as part of our social contract. We should be that first city. We should expect these things. Autonomous vehicles are going to change the way we interact because they're going to be pooling systems. That means eventually there's going to be the story where I met your mom in a pooled autonomous vehicle. Because we got picked up I always was in the car when she got picked up, and as we got dropped off, she always got dropped off, and I just started thinking, who is that chick? That story gets put together because people are pooled together, and it's different than being on a train. It's a new story. We're writing new stories. Sacramento is clay, man. And it reforms and it reforms. We should look at maps like this and go, look at that old-timey map. They only started right there in the grid? That's insane. And they only let it drive out to the airport? Why the hell would they do that? That should be an old-timey map. These are things that we've been pushing in Sacramento and trying to get done. But every time I put something on paper, I think to myself, people better look back at that and laugh at it. Because those who follow me better stand on my shoulders, because I stand on the shoulders of others. Stand on the shoulders of people who came before us in Sacramento. We'll squat down and we'll lift you up. They will. The people behind us will. The people next, you better have shoulders for the next person to stand up on. That's what this city's about. Because what we have to focus on is emergence over incumbency. By that, I mean, what is the emerging methodology, technology, social contract? What are the next phases of what it is we're going to do? Over, well, that's always how we've done it. We don't do that stuff like that here. That should not be part of your vernacular. I don't care if it's personal, cultural, society, it doesn't matter. That's not how we do things, is not worth holding on to. And you guys, let's talk about this real quick. We earned Indomitable. You hear things like City of Trees. I'm not a tree, okay? You hear about Farm to Fork? Okay, cool. Here's what we earned. We earned Indomitable because this city flooded and burned over and over again. This city burned and then flooded. Matter of fact, you walk around downtown, and if you look hard enough, you'll still see the boat hooks up on the second floor of some of the houses in Old Town, where they hooked up their boats. There was one point in this city that we were underwater for 3 months, 10 feet of water for 3 months, and we still stuck around. We still continue. We're indomitable. Hell, we've gone through one of the worst tragedies of all time. We've been a government town for the last 25 years. We will come out of that. We are coming out of that now. You are part of coming out of that. We're more than what the labels are. We are indomitable, and we are pioneering. And it takes all of us coming together to talk about certain things to find out where we need to go. So a couple weeks ago, I think it was a couple weeks ago now, time gets kind of smashed. A bunch of us got together, and we started talking about what we want to create the kind of, if you were to walk into Sacramento 20 years from now, and you saw ink on someone's arm, or you saw a sign, or you saw what it was, or you saw basically the principles of what we stand for as a city. We got together, and we threw some words out, we kind of rearranged them. I didn't arrange these in the final, I think I added one more new word, a couple words. The culturally equitable compass of humble, raw creativity. That covers tech. That covers art. That covers poetry. That covers the spoken word. That covers video. That covers what you create and expect to create next. Own it if you want to. It ain't mine. Tweet it if you want to. I don't care. This is where we need to go, at least in my opinion, in the next 20 years, so that we're known to be this. All the future jobs, you guys, are going to be in the creative spirit. Artificial intelligence, automation are going to create new pathways, so creativity is the wonderkin sport. Okay, so with all that, I've gone long, haven't I? With all that said, there are places in this town, there are places in this town where people go and they just take what they're about to do and they find the environment. Sacramento is full of environments to do the creativity, to do the pioneering thought, to work on your craft. This dude's my favorite. Maybe some of you have seen him. I caught this one night, and to me, it's the soundtrack of what I go through as I walk through the streets of Sacramento. Anybody know who this is? Everybody seen this guy? This is Reggie. Bonk. This is Reggie. Reggie plays in the City Hall garage all by himself. He found a spot that speaks to him, found that environment, and then took it and made it his. To hone his craft, alone with the traffic going by. It is the most meaningful thing I walk by at night in Sacramento. It tears me up every time. It's the loneliest sound I've ever heard. He's incredible. Sacramento is a place for you to find these environments, to pioneer the next, the expectation of the next. If you haven't been and heard Reggie, walk by. Go down to 35th and Broadway on a Monday night to the intersection and listen to the cats doing flow about gentrification in Oak Park. Get over into Del Paso Heights. Listen to them talk about what it's. My parents are from Del Paso Heights. Del Paso, Citrus Heights, Pocket area. All of these places have creators and pioneers in what they're working on. Get out there, Sacramento. I love this city. Thank you, guys.